Welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk Dog Business. Today we're going to be giving you 5 top tips to help you grow some lead engagement and just look at a little bit of your marketing. So we've been talking and I've always called it lead generation, which is essentially how you get leads, which is somebody coming in to the business so I can potentially sell them something or at least have a conversation with them. Mm-hmm. What do you call it?
I call it that now, but back in the day, I'd call it, I don't know, I wouldn't have a name for it. Just hoped someone would find me.
Hoped someone would find you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Didn't really have a plan.
No, I mean, to be fair, it's true, isn't it? Like I'm trying to cast my mind back now because we've been doing this for so long now, the air quote right way. But yeah, maybe back then it was a case of just putting your services on a website and hoping somebody would contact you and not really doing anything. But I think the lead gen bit is, we wouldn't have any businesses now if we didn't concentrate on lead gen.
No, it's so important, isn't it? But I did DIY website. It showed up on Google somewhere. Didn't really track that or monitor it or make it any better. It just appeared where it appeared. I didn't realise I could influence it that much as well. And hoped people went on there. And I guess because I was just hoping people would find me from word of mouth, someone would tell them my website address, they'd put it in and they'd find it. And that's all I used to do.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay then. So the purpose of today's episode then really is to give you some hacks, some top tips and things that you just need to be focusing on to improve your lead generation. But I think the most important part of this is that it doesn't have to cost you
anything.
Anything really.
These that we've got are all free actually, aren't they?
Yeah, these are stuff that do. Yeah, these are things that we've implemented and continue to implement without it costing us anything. I mean, now we kind of outsource the odd little bit here and there with the intention of outsourcing a lot more of it to do it better than we could from a time point of view. But we've been doing it for several years where it's just been us in the background doing it.
Yeah.
So what is tip number 1?
So the first tip, and I know this is really hard for some people, is to be more visible. And when people say be more visible, people like panic about it and go, oh, do I have to do lives all the time? Do I have to show myself all the time? It could be something as simple as a picture of you on your website. Typically, if you're a dog professional, involves you and a dog or several dogs. What about changing that to maybe you and your dogs and your family? So it's your entire family rather than just you and your dogs. Because I think that we think that clients are just looking for your skills with dogs, which obviously is what they're looking for primarily, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But also it's about getting to know you, isn't it? So just a picture with you and your kids or you and your husband or wife and your dogs as well. That's nice little family picture, even if it's just that, for example, on your website.
Yeah. Oh, that makes such a difference. We've been doing some reviews lately, haven't we, for clients of some of their materials that they've got out there, and whether that's a website or their social media. And when it's full of dog pictures, it actually turns people off, believe it or not, because there's no way of getting to know who I'm going to be working with.
Yeah.
It would be the equivalent of, what did we say the other day? Like if somebody was searching on how they could work with us and then the Facebook page or the website was literally just a picture of books and computers and stuff like
pens
that. And pens, stationery. It's like, what? It doesn't make any sense. So,
but sometimes it's really hard to find a picture of somebody on the website, even with dogs or with family members or what. Sometimes you just really struggle to find a picture of somebody or find out what their name is. That's the other thing, actually, because you might, most dog businesses are called, like mine's Canine Connections, yours is Poor Education. And it's really hard to find out what the name of the trainer is sometimes on there, let alone a picture of them with their family in real life sort of situations.
Yeah.
And social media, again, it's full of, again, we think that people want to see you working with dogs and training dogs or the clients with their dogs. To a point, yeah. But what about you popping up on there and telling us a bit about you? Like, they need to know that you're the right person for them and that you fit each other's, you're going to work well together.
Yeah.
If you don't know any of that, how can you make that decision?
Yeah. It's so important because humans buy from humans and humans want to work with humans. And as humans, we like to know who we're going to be working with and what that person's personality type is like. Like, I've had people who I've called out before in the early stages to help train me and my dogs. And because there wasn't that element, and at the time I wasn't really thinking about it, and at the time I was like, actually, yeah, like I can see you've got a decent enough track. Actually, I tell a lie. The guy who I did end up getting out, there was a picture of him and he had huskies. So for me, that was my pull. I'm like, ooh, you've got huskies. I've got huskies. You seem to be doing pretty awesome at this because you've got a husky, and look at all the things that you can do with your husky. So there must have been an element of his story there somewhere with his dogs. So that pulled me in. But if that was just a picture of a load of other random dogs, I probably wouldn't have gone into it.
Yeah. But also, let's think of that in a different way. Just because you had husky, I don't have huskies. So I may not have picked him based on the fact that, you know, he's got huskies, I don't. But the more you know about that person, there might have been something that resonated with me, with him. Yep. So it could be one of his hobbies that I quite liked, or the way he dressed, or something about where he lives, or, you know, there's so many things, aren't there? So the more little things you know about somebody, there's somebody that will go, I quite like that about that person. But if you only know very limited information, you're kind of closing off that opportunity.
Yeah. I actually had somebody inquire the other week saying that I'd seen I've heard you, speak on another podcast for home education and how you've got your dog training business. So they came into my Facebook group for the poor education business off the back of hearing me on a home education podcast. And that was their in, because I had what's the word I'm looking for? My interest was in home education, and that's what pulled them in. So not necessarily the dog training aspect, it was the home ed that pulled them in.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't have been talking about that and just hid behind you get them a lot, don't you? You get these like professional photos of like you're standing quite straight with a dog sat either side of you or in front of you.
Or looking up at you. Or...
yeah, and you're like, I am dog trainer. And it's this weird connotation of this visual picture that we've all kind of told ourselves that's what a dog trainer
it would
has
almost
to look
be
like.
I'm thinking of the professions now, and I'm thinking of like a dentist with a drill and one of those things they pick at your teeth with. Imagine. Like, I'd run the other way.
It's so true.
Whereas the dentist with his family and maybe with his dogs and just, you know, on a walk with his kids, I'd go, oh yeah, you seem nice and you're not maybe going to hurt me as much.
Yeah, that's it. And again, it's that balance bit, isn't it? It's like, of course you have to put some dog stuff in.
Yeah.
Like, again, with the dentist, you would expect some pictures of him in action doing his thing.
Yeah.
Or But you've got to have a bit of both. You can't just hide behind the profession. You've got to put some bits of you out there.
Personality out there.
Yeah.
So however that looks for you, if you're not comfortable doing lives, which I wasn't until I've started doing them more regularly, just an odd selfie here and there, or just, like I say, a picture of you in a normal habitat that doesn't necessarily involve you training dogs.
Yeah.
Is usually enough, isn't it?
Yep. I like it.
Yeah.
Tip number 2.
So we talked about simplifying, so look at it from the client journey. And I know we've mentioned this on here before, but we wanted to just drill into this a little bit about how it looks for your clients. So when they approach your website, your social media, how easy is it, for them to find what they're looking for?
Yeah. So by that then, do you mean can they see what you offer? Can they easily get in touch with you?
All of those things, I think. Can they see clearly what it is that's designed for their situation?
Yeah.
Is it too complicated? Are you putting too many options in, which is often the case we find with dog professionals' websites, that there's so many tabs and so many options for things that you just can't navigate it. It's like overwhelming because there's too much choice. And maybe the choices are not, maybe the offerings are very similar, but you put them into different categories when actually it could just come under one.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's you really do have to start thinking about that that customer journey and going, when they find you, almost like what's the next logical step for them? What is the part of that process that then gets them ideally spending some money with you?
How easy are the call to actions? How easy is it for them to go, right, I figured out what I need. How do I buy it? Or how do I speak to somebody? Or what do I do next?
Yeah. So for argument's sake, then let's take a very, very, very generic, stereotypical training website. You land on it. You've got puppy classes, adult classes, adolescent classes, one-to-ones, behaviour.
Reactive classes.
Yeah, all the stuff.
One-to-one program maybe, or a one-to-one. Doesn't even just say a one-to-one session, it says one-to-one course.
Yeah.
Versus a class. Like, how does someone know what they need?
Yeah. So already, I think what we're trying to say is like we're encouraging you to go and have a look at wherever it is your customers land. So we're assuming it's a website. It may not be, but assume for now it is a website and they've landed on it. What is the next step that person takes? Are they going to have to spend a good 15, 20 minutes looking around to try and figure out what it is they need?
And don't forget, people's attention spans are a lot lower these days than they used to be. So they're not going to probably do that. They'll just move on to the next one. Yeah.
So that's really important to go. Just put yourself in their shoes. I think it's really easy when you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then just look at the content that's on there. Like, are you giving all of the information about your accreditations, your badges, and all of that? Does that help the client with what they're looking for? Does that give them the answer that they need?
No. And arguably, like, do they even need to be on there at all? And I'm not devaluing them, but you could almost have the argument of saying that people just spend so much time getting badges to put on their website to show people that they are this or that. And does the customer really care?
Yeah.
Do they know what they mean? Mm-hmm. Are they bothered?
Yeah. Gonna put my hand up. That's exactly why I went after badges. Oh, I get to put it on my website and it makes me look
and it's
like I know what I'm doing.
It's a bit addictive, the more badges you get.
Yeah. But I literally did it from a viewpoint of, oh, look, if I put all this stuff on my website, then it goes to show that I'm really good at what I do.
It's validation, isn't it?
Yeah.
That it's almost like the lack of confidence in other ways that compensates for a little bit.
Yeah. No.
So a shiny badge is, we're all guilty of a shiny badge. And I'm not saying just hide all of this stuff and pretend you haven't got it, by all means, but maybe not have it as the centre and focus.
Yeah, it's looking at it from that client perspective again, isn't it? It's like, how do all of the badges help the buyer? So if you were going to buy a car, would you, and you went to the dealership and you've got the salesperson there, and already I know everyone's going to have a similar picture to what's in my mind at the moment. You know, like it's crap, isn't it? But the picture is like that sleazy salesman who's got to be there and he's chatting away to you to try and sell you that car. Now, if that person had, I don't know, like loads of awards and stuff. I don't know if there are awards.
I don't know. There probably are.
In car world, there's bound to be. But if that car person then had a shiny badge or a trophy or a certificate or something on their desk to say, oh, I've passed, like, I understand about tyres and I understand about the body of the car and the shape of it and all the stuff.
Yeah.
Is that really what you're going in there for?
No. And if he is too full on, he's a bit sleazy, he's a bit pushy, he may have all those things under his belt, but you're not going to touch the car. You're going to just back out and you're going to have the opposite effect on, they're going to have the opposite effect on you, aren't they?
Yeah. So it's really like, so if you stick with that car dealership example, when you're walking into that showroom, what are you actually looking for? So what is the purpose of getting a new car? And that's the bit you've got to lean in on. Because I don't care that person has got all of these skills and badges and certificates and whatever it may be, if it doesn't serve the purpose of why I'm there.
Yeah.
So like I've gone looking for cars before since we had the kids to go, I actually need a bigger car because with the dogs and the kids and because of the ages of them, like you've got prams and now they're into bikes and all of that kind of stuff. I need a big car. So when I've gone out looking, that's what I'm going in with. But if all I'm met by is all of these badges and certificates and stuff, then the journey's not aligned.
No. And also, if the showroom's full of sports cars, it's no good for you anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's not in the right place.
You have to really think about that customer journey on your service page and go, what is the next step for them? If I, as a customer, am landing on your page and I'm having to spend ages trying to figure out how you can help me. Like I've already done the first bit. I've identified you as a trainer. So I'm clicking, yes, let me find out more. But then what happens there? Like, what are you wanting them to do once they've landed?
Yeah. And also, if you get lots of inquiries about, hi, I've been on your website. I've got this dog, what do I need? Like if you're getting lots of those, kind of says they don't really know what they're looking at and it's not clear.
Yeah.
Or
it's an overwhelm of information.
There's too much and they just don't know which one. It's not a clear journey through. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I used to get these inquiries a lot and get frustrated with them and go, I thought I'd put it all on there. Why aren't people are they stupid? And I thought every time I got an inquiry like that, I'd go back on my website because it was DIY, I could do it myself. I'd go back on it, I'd tweak something. I'd want to just address that situation, but I'd probably do something. I'd probably add another category and another I'd put another thing on there rather than take something away so it was even clearer. I'd add something to it. And inadvertently, I thought I was helping, but inadvertently I was probably making it even trickier. But I'd always got those inquiries, always got emails. Yeah. What do I need? Well, you've got this dog of this age. Surely it's so clear on the website, but it's obviously not, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not at all. So, yeah, top tip number 2,
simplify it.
Yeah, simplify. Think about that customer journey a little bit once they're landing and go in.
Yeah. And the next one kind of relates to this, actually. Again, we're saying websites, but it could just be that you've got a landing page. It could be that you're just using social media. Mm-hmm. How wordy is your information? Is your messaging hidden in vast amounts of fluff that isn't necessary?
Everybody loves the fluff.
Oh my gosh. Because again, it comes from that point of validation and justification and going, I really want you to work with me and this is why you should work with me. La 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 la. Reams and reams of stuff. Yeah. And I feel like if you give me that cash, then I'm going to give you all this stuff back.
Yeah.
That's how it really comes across.
Yeah, it comes across as a bit desperate.
Yeah.
It comes across as a little bit unprofessional, which I know is a really hard to hear thing, because ultimately there's a phrase that I've heard over the years where if you find yourself telling people, then you're not really helping that kind of sales process or that relationship, because if you're just telling someone about you and why they need to pick you and it's all about you, which is what ultimately creates all that fluff, isn't it? But this is a bit about me. I've done this course and this course and this course. You may have shoehorned in a little bit about you and your dogs and a little bit maybe about your life, but it's still lots of the main angle and the underlying message is very much this is why you should pick me. Not this is how I can help you with this issue or struggle.
And sometimes it's just rejigging the wording a little bit, isn't it? And just spinning how it sounds. And again, look at it from if you were wanting to buy something, you'd want it personalised to you as much as possible on a generic website, obviously. But you want to hear things that make you go, oh, that resonates with me and that's my issue. And yes, I need that. Rather than it be sell, sell, sell. I need to buy from that person. Yeah. It's how can that person help me?
Yeah. There was a really good post I saw the other day, actually. Somebody posted it on social media and they were saying that they just tweaked their marketing message ever so slightly. So I think that they were a separation anxiety specialist, and historically done all of the fluff that we've just been talking about. Like, I'm accredited in this separation body, I've done this, all about me. And then they tweaked their messaging ever so slightly to say something along the lines of, and I am paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact detail, but along the lines of, your life is never going to be your own whilst your dog is struggling with this. And it was just that message tweak that made people go, oh my God, yeah, like my life isn't my own, because that's the struggle they resonated with. Yeah. That's the message that they were like, oh. Whereas historically, and again, quite generically, a lot of people put those messages out to go, this is all about me. I'm a separation coach. So if your dog is struggling with separation, if your dog is blah, 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 you can chop and change it to any different type of behaviour. But that slight message tweak really spoke to the end user, which was the client, who was then going, and apparently they had like their best month ever just from that slight tweak in messaging, because they resonated with the client, they connected with the issue rather than telling them all about themselves.
Yeah. And I think it very much is that stop, put yourself in the shoes. And again, think about it from any purchase that you would make. Don't always think about, because sometimes you're too in the business, in the industry, to see it, because everything is about that. Step out and just go, if I was going to go and find somebody to, tattoo artist, for example.
Yeah.
Like, we've got tattoos and I've got some by several different tattoo artists. But for me, I want to know about that person. I want to know about, because you're with them for a long time as well. Like, if you're having a big tattoo, you're there for a few hours talking to them. So you don't want to be talking to like a brick wall as well. No. You want to know a little bit about them. You want to know that they're the right, but you also want to know that their art is good and it's going to be the right thing for you. But you also, but we were talking about this, weren't we? About there's so many professions that could do with making the process easier of booking and, and like the deposit thing and all that kind of stuff. That's not a conversation for today. But it's thinking about it, if you were going to buy something like that or make a big investment, because it's investment for life. When you've got something tattooed on you, it's never going away. So it's an investment for life, and it's a cost investment as well. So you've got to kind of look at it from all these different industry angles, haven't you? Don't just think about it in terms of dog stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so cut the fluff, basically.
Cut the fluff. And less is more, don't you think? Like, a lot of the time on things like websites, just having like punchy, almost like keep people guessing is a good angle,
it is,
isn't it?
And again, it's remembering the purpose of all of these different things. So we'll get into loads of the different marketing strategies in other episodes and in our trainings that we do in the Facebook group. But you have to really look at people's attention spans. And
they're short.
I don't know any time I've ever invested a hell of a lot of time researching, or like I felt really invested in going through somebody's website for anything.
No.
Maybe my uni stuff, but there's a reason I've got to do that for a bleeding assignment. But aside from that, I'm still literally scanning to go like, where's the information? What's the key bit? And I'm off. I don't want to be on there for hours or even more than like 5 minutes, really. I want to go on, get the thing I need and go.
Just been listening to a brilliant audiobook. I can't remember who, I don't know if you remember, Joe, who wrote it, but it's How to Write Copy That Sells, and it's amazing.
Oh, is it Ray Coppinger?
No, but might be Raymond somebody. But yeah, you guys, if you find it, it's called How to Write Copy That Sells. And it's such a great book for just really clear tips on how to lay things out, what to not put too much of, what to put more of, and just make it so that your client is seeing the information, because the information's lost a lot of the time because it's within this body of paragraphs and paragraphs of stuff, that the actual stuff you want them to see, it becomes white noise. So it doesn't pop and it doesn't stand out. Whereas this book is just brilliant at just like helping you go bullet point that, because and put that in a different type of text, or put that at the top, or put that at the bottom, or whatever. So that kind of thing is good for learning about.
Yeah, it is a good book. I like it. Cool. What's our next tip?
And next one is identify the main traffic driver and then spend more time there. So where are you getting most of your clients
this is
from?
so important. So if you've not yet asked yourself the question, where are people finding me? Do that work first. Because I promise you, a lot of us don't really know, or even if we think we know, do we have data to support that? Mm-hmm. Now, this is the bit that I think people get a little bit scared of if you don't know what it is you're looking for, because ultimately you don't know what you don't know, and it's not a bad thing. We are still on this journey of figuring it all out, because I don't think it's necessarily an easy thing to do, but it's something that you need to be aware of. So where are people finding out about you? Like, how many people? So if you was to add up all of your database at the moment, and I suppose as a side note, do you actually have a database? Have you got a list of all your clients stored somewhere? That's a little additional side tip for you. But go through them and go, right, where did that person find me? Where did that person find me? Or if you haven't got that, ask people that you're working with now, if you haven't already. Where did you come across me? Was it word of mouth? Who specifically was it, if it was word of mouth?
Well, put it on your booking process and ask that question when people book with you.
Yep. Where have you heard about
us? It's a really useful question.
So I found, for me, everyone kept saying Google. And I was like, oh, interesting. Because in my brain, I'm going, well, I haven't spent any money on SEO. My website is definitely not on page 1. So where the hell are people finding me? And then I realised that because I've created a Google My Business account, and I was very good at utilising that as a little bit of a social media source, it came up on the page bit. So, you know, when you just type into Google, and it's more for local areas, but it will highlight people. So if you've created a Google My Business profile, theoretically it should pop up in the map bit. So that comes above all of the website pages.
Yeah, and that's something I'd never done before. I'd never even knew that you should do that, or that was a thing that you could do.
Yeah,
it does make a big difference, that, doesn't it? If
you're
on
it's
that
a
Google My
huge
Business.
difference. Yeah,
and you can put little updates, can't you? You can almost use it as a bit of a social media.
Yeah.
And again, it's not really that clear on the Google My Business app unless you know what you're looking for. But there's a little bit where it says updates. I think it's just called updates, actually.
Yeah. And
you just post a picture and some text.
Yeah.
You could literally lift it off your social media and just put it on there. Mm-hmm. And that bumps things up again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you post those regularly.
Yeah. So when people are saying they're finding you off Google, again, ask specifically like, oh, whereabouts on Google? Because if it's your website, then you know you need to invest time, energy, potentially money into the website further down the line. But if it's Google and it's that map, then
brilliant, it's free.
Fab.
Nothing.
Like, just keep working
cost
on
you
that.
Anything.
Yeah. And again, like further down the line, you could outsource somebody to manage that for you. But for now, it's free.
Yeah.
Do it.
And actually, it doesn't take a lot of maintenance, to be fair. I found you just post every now and then on there, and it keeps it up top.
Yeah. But then likewise, if you are running several social media accounts, because again, I think it's in the back of everybody's mind, isn't it, that when people say you need to be more visible and do all of that, you need to get across all these platforms. And yes, you do, but you don't need to be doing that initially. Like I would say, if you are a business that is striving to achieve a nice income of, let's say, 60k, you can do that on one platform and do it really well.
You can just concentrate on one for the time being.
When you're pushing 6 figures, then start to look at multi-platform, but you don't need to be doing it to get that 50, 60, possibly even 70k. I mean, I've done all mine on just Facebook because I hated all the other.
Yeah, I've pretty much done the same, yeah.
But then I did have to ask myself, going like, where am I getting most of the leads? And for me, it was Google, it wasn't Facebook. So I had to switch where I was focusing my energy, because what was the point in me spending all my energy in Facebook because I found it easy because it's something I understood, but that wasn't generating any inquiries, but Google was.
But it's things like local community groups often recommend dog professionals, don't they?
Yep.
You know, if someone's had a good dog trainer, they'll put it, you know, where can we go for puppy classes? And people put it on there. So it's worth kind of dipping into those, isn't it? And just seeing what's on there. And some of them you can advertise on. So just popping things on there every now and then.
Yeah.
And if that's a place where I think in a general sense, you know, Facebook is the I would say the main platform where dog owners hang out and they're looking for help, would you say? I mean, this is a massive generalisation, isn't it?
I don't know, you know. I would say there's a massive shift on to TikTok.
But young kids hang out on TikTok, don't they? Do you
agree.
hang out on TikTok, listeners?
No, I don't.
Viewers, do you? I don't know.
I don't.
However, it fries my brain. It makes me it gives me a headache just looking at TikTok.
Yeah, it's not my favourite platform. But again, what are the metrics you need to know? And there are a lot of people that are shifting over to TikTok, and families are consuming it a lot more.
Potentially.
So even though it is a younger market, realistically, if you've got older children in a house and your target clients are family dogs, and the kids are going, oh, wow, this trainer's done X, Y, Z and all of that.
They're going to be influenced as well, aren't they, by the kids?
So it's...
Yeah, maybe. But maybe it's me with my old-fashioned hat on, thinking of...
No, it's because everybody defaults to a platform that they like and know.
Yeah.
Which is why ours is Facebook, because that's what we technically grew up with when the internet came out.
Yeah, that's true.
Facebook was the staple one that was there.
And I guess because our community groups are on there and... we have a nice base on there, don't we?
Yeah, but that's where we know our target audience is. So ultimately, if you don't know these metrics, that's what you need to find out. So we've had clients recently say that they get a lot of stuff through Instagram. So I'm like, okay, well, don't spend your time splitting it over Facebook and Instagram. Then just go all in on Instagram.
Yeah, if Instagram is
that's
bringing the
working,
results,
do that and do it really, really well.
Yeah.
If it's Google, do that and do that really, really well. So all of these are the free things that you can be doing. Mm-hmm. You've just got to invest some time in trying to find out what it is that and where it is people are finding you from.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just your time. It's gonna impact. Shouldn't be any more costs for you. And that brings us nicely on to the last one, which is again Google, and it's the reviews.
Yes. Reviews, testimonials, whatever you want to call them, they are so important. And I think everybody needs to have a strategy for gaining those reviews. Google is always going to be my personal favourite because it's what's worked for me in my business. I did go through a phase of getting people to do it on Facebook, but again, from gathering the metrics and speaking to clients and stuff, they were using Google more. So all of my review generation goes onto Google. My process is every time we are coming towards the end of a program with a client, I start nudging them with, can you do a Google review? And I'm outwardly asking for it. I think that's one thing we're not good enough at doing. Or again, it's that mindset thing of,
am I good enough to warrant a review?
Yeah.
Do they like what I'm giving them?
Or surely if I've done a good enough job, they'll go out of their way and do it themselves without the prompt.
This week, one of our coaching clients said this. Oh, I never pushed it because I would assume if they wanted to give me a review, they would have. And then we spun it by saying, if you have an amazing experience at a restaurant or something, do you always think about it? Unless like you get a prompt sometimes, an email saying, how was your experience? Review us. And usually that gives me a prompt to go, oh yeah, it was really good actually, I'll do that. But if I just come away, I've got my evening, I'm getting home, I'm thinking about the next day, I'm going to just forget. So prompting is really good actually, and don't feel like you're just pestering somebody. If you ask a couple of times and they don't do it, you may want to kind of think maybe they don't. But
I don't know. I've had one of my clients recently actually. So she's been with us for 6 months or coming up to 6 months, and we started our prompt process about 3 months in because it gives me another 3 months to annoy the crap out of them basically, going, do me a review. And she kept saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. You guys are amazing. Absolutely love it. I was like, awesome. A couple of days would go by, nothing there. And I'd be like, oi, can you do that review, please? So I do like the air quote professional formal ones where I'd use my email template and go, right, this is what we're doing. And then because of the relationship that we've established, I drop her the occasional voice note, and then I do a video. Honestly, I think I added it up the other week because I was curious, because I've been bugging her for a while to do it. I think I've asked her 24 times.
What?
24 times.
Oh, wow.
But she's done it. And now that's a 5-star Google review.
You bullied her into it
great.
in the end then.
Bullied her. Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, guys, don't do that.
But
24 times.
But she wanted to, I knew she wanted to do it.
And as well, it comes back down to, I was about to say before you even mentioned it about the client relationship thing, because the more you know your clients inside out, you know they're a bit useless and they're just a bit forgetful, or life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way. And so if you know that, you can push them. But if you don't know them very well, and this is again back to this whole thing of if you haven't got very long-term clients and you don't see them that often, you would probably feel more cautious about asking that question.
Yeah. But definitely don't stop after you've asked once or twice. Like, I'd easily ask about 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I need to push mine a bit more then.
Yeah. But without asking, you're not going to get anything.
No. So this has been an interesting conversation for us, because maybe I need to nudge people a little bit more than I already have been then.
Yeah, honestly, it's so important, because we know, again, from a society point of view and from a human point of view, everybody looks at reviews. Like, even on Amazon, you go and you find something.
Yep.
And even if you know you really want it,
You've got to be validated by those
You still
reviews.
can't help but scan down to the review. I did it yesterday. I bought Clay a new pair of wellies, and I was like, I'm just going to check out the reviews. Why? They're wellies. What are they going to say? They're waterproof? Yes, I hope they are. They're wellies. But it still happens. And it's something that, oh my God, my sister and my mum, they are obsessed with reviews. Like, if there is one bad review, they will not do it. They won't buy.
I don't know about you, but when I look at some people, you can segment off like the 1-star reviews and then the 5-star reviews. I never do the 1-star reviews because I don't want to know. If I've got something in my head that I know I want to buy, I'll just look at all the good ones.
But that's it. So again, you're validating your own choice, and you will search for the ones that are going to do well for you. So you need a strategy behind your reviews in going, I would hope that you would know that you have delivered a kick-ass service. And even if you haven't necessarily got the result, which I think comes into that imposter syndrome a little bit again, going like, oh, well, they called me out for this, but the dog's still doing it a little bit, so I failed. I'm not going to ask her for a review on that. That annoys me, because I'm like, well, I bet if you've worked hard enough and you've got the relationship, that client's not going to think that you failed, because you've probably come a million times further than they would have done without your help. So ask for the bloody review. Like, get it in. And if anything, I think there's a fear element behind, oh, but what if I get a low review? And ultimately, you take it as feedback. Make sure that you comment on all of these reviews as well.
Yeah,
that's really important to do.
Comment back, yeah.
Not in a confrontational way. But again, really build all of this stuff. But this goes back to, and again, it's a whole other episode in itself, but if you are offering a kick-ass service where you know that value is of the highest focus of your time and energy, you're naturally going to get a good review. But if you don't ask for it, you are not going to get it. Life is too busy. And in the nicest possible way, even if with that amazing relationship that you have, you're not going to be on the forefront of somebody's mind to go, I'm going to really help you out.
Going back to what you just said about commenting on the reviews, even if you get a bad review or you don't get a 5-star, you get a 4.9-star review, don't see that as defeatist. Go comment back and just say, first of all, just agree with what they've said. Thank you so much for your review. Really appreciate it. I'm really sorry that you felt that way. And offer them some way of like making that better for them. So even if it's just a verbal, message me and I'd love to chat to you about it more so I can find out what's happened and I can make it better for the next client or something like that. So if I ever see those reviews where I've seen a really low review, like a 1-star review, and I've looked at it and the comments, because you do see it sometimes, don't you? The people get the backup. The business owner's like, oh, well, don't come back then, or something like that. Well, you don't ever want to put something like that. But if you see that the person has tried their hardest to understand their pain and that they may not have received the service that they should have, but there's maybe a solution to it, or there's an alternative method of communicating with them and they can have a little chat about it, or some way of making things better, I would always look at that and go, do you know what? Fair play to them, because they're obviously trying to help that person out.
Yeah.
So that can make a huge difference as well. So even if you get the worst happens and you get 1-star review, your response back to that person, other people will see that and it will have an impact on how they see you as a business owner.
Yeah, it's so true. The only thing that really annoys me about people asking for reviews is when they do it in such a way as to go, oh, I'm a small business owner and this really helps my business grow.
And when you get those threads on Facebook and everybody does them and they keep sharing the thread,
it drives
the same thread.
Insane. And I think it comes from a place of I don't know how to run a business. So I'm just going to copy paste all of these things. But when you are asking for a review in such a way as to go like, it really helps my business grow, it just comes across as a little bit as a little bit unprofessional.
Needy.
Instead of going, do you know what? Like, I would really like a review. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just the way it's said.
I feel like I deserve a review, really.
Yeah. It's like, just give me feedback. Yeah. I'd like to think. And again,
the service I've offered you is amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel
and this comes down to your relationship. But I would genuinely like to think that if you were going to give me anything that's negative or constructive criticism, you're not going to be doing that in the review, because we would have had a relationship where you can tell me. Or we would have been able to address it much earlier than the review.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that that is why, to date, and I thank my lucky stars every day for this, but I've managed to get 55-star reviews. 5-star, like, they're all glowing, and they're not the little one. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there's about 2 or 3 in there where I'm like, oh my God, was it worth it? Like, a great service.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. That really helps.
Sure.
And then others are like paragraphs. But I love those. I love the little stories, because ultimately that's what I have very unintentionally clearly given to my clients to kind of write about and go, you've got a lot to write about. So they do.
And it's obvious you haven't put a gun to their head and made them write that story. Mm-hmm. It's their own, off their own back, isn't it? Which is lovely.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So do a quick whistle stop recap of the 5 points then. So she's trying to get up on her phone now.
It's supposed to stay on there the whole time. So, number 1, be more visible.
Yep.
Number 2, simplify your offerings. Think of the client journey.
Yep.
Number 3, cut the fluff.
Cut the fluff.
Number 4, figure out where your leads are coming from, where your inquiries are coming from, and hang out there.
Yep.
And number 5, Google reviews.
Google reviews.
And we really hope you enjoyed this episode today. And a nice little lead from that is that we would love you guys to leave us a review. Don't forget to follow, like, and share.